Am I the a-hole? Story update. Am I the a-hole for refusing to put my boyfriend on the title of my house or make him a beneficiary? Original story background. My BF of over 3 years has been living with me for 18 months. We are both in our 30s, happy and talk about how this is it for us. Relationship-wise, we are in it for the long haul. Only problem, he does not want to get married, and I really do. Marriage is important to me. We have had a lot of talks recently and his vibe is somewhere between not ready and commitment as far as marriage is stupid. So why bother? After many long discussions, I realize that I love him enough to stay and take marriage off the table even though I want it. He says he doesn't know if he'll ever want to get married. Side note, we both do not want children. Now the issue, I got paperwork from my insurance and was looking through it. I made a joke about how my parents are going to be really comfortable if I die, especially in an accident. They can mourn me in style because of my insurance policies and the added accidental death insurance. I have my boyfriend and I then got talking and he mentioned how I should really change my beneficiary to him. I said, no, absolutely not. I told him that I would never make anyone who isn't blood our legal family my beneficiary. I said I would add him in the future if one day he decided he wanted marriage with me. But as it stands now, my insurance will remain as is. I also told him that since I own the house we live in myself, I bought it before we got together, that I would never add him to the title without marriage. Am I the a-hole? He is now mad in saying I'm an a-hole and holding marriage as a bargaining chip. We never have to get married, but I am not comfortable tying him to my finances without being married. For added info, I also have a lot of money tied up in my house. He does pay me to live here. My mortgage is almost $1,200 and he pays me $400 a month towards that. I also have a lot of money invested in my house. When I bought it, I used $42,000 that I saved for the down payment. That was all my money and is now equity in the house that he had no part of. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole, he wants to benefit from marriage, being a legal spouse without actually getting married. Yeah, no hard pass. And if something does happen and they break up, she could be screwed. Is doing everything right. My mom spent years in real estate, and when my sister was getting serious with her first BF, she told both us to never buy a house with a non-spouse or put a non-spouse on a house we owned. She saw too many chaotic situations resulting from non-married couples buying a house together / adding someone to the deed. It pretty much always ended with one of the people losing financially and the house being sold as quickly as possible, and usually for less than it was worth often. That was because one and the couple wanted the money fast and strong-armed the other into settling for less. Yeah, anyone who claims that marriage is just a piece of paper is kidding themselves. At least in the USA they are. There's a reason the LGBT+ community is so big on having that right. It's because marriage comes with a ton of major benefits and divorce is one of them. Yes, divorce costs money and can be quite bitter. But that's true of any breakup, and it only costs a ton if you're unable to compromise. There is a ton of legal precedents established on how to break up a married couple. There aren't any on how to break up people who are just dating. Because if you're just dating, you're not a legal entity with shared rights. You're just roommates playing house as far as the government law is concerned. If you're going to share a life with someone and make major financial commitments together, get married, it protects you both. Exactly. If marriage is just a piece of paper, so is the title deed to a property. Not the a-hole. I don't think you are using this as a bargaining chip, but rather being cautious and smart. You guys have not been together long enough to tie your finances together. He may change his mind about marriage eventually, and you may change your mind and add him without it, or you may not, on both counts. But right now it's absolutely too soon, and I do agree with this. It is too soon to even talk about tying our finances to each other. When I originally talked marriage, I was hoping for an engagement in the next year and a wedding in a few years. I wasn't even wanting something soon because I think we do need more time before that happens. So, talking more about finances shouldn't be a pressing matter yet either. Now, for the update, I listened to a lot of your feedback and talked to my boyfriend after my post. He seemed weird in our talk. He's been weird a lot lately, but I have been excusing it. He told me that he said to put him on as an insurance beneficiary partially as a joke. But then when I went off on my tangent, including offering up that he'll never go on my house title either, even though he never mentioned it, that he got offended and reacted poorly. He said he really did think I was going off about all that in retaliation for his note to marriage talks. So he was left with a bitter taste, which I get. I can be more forceful than I realize that I am naturally passive-aggressive. He said I didn't have to put him on anything, but he needs me to understand that I am it for him. He wants to make his life with me. Things seem to be better after this. That weekend, he asked if I wanted to go on a hike. It was peak season for the leaves changing, and there is this waterfall. He suggested we get to the waterfall, and he pulls an envelope out of his jacket with a tiny bow on it and says it's a present for me. I open it and it's a receipt from a jewelry store. I was confused, but I see he had a date of purchase highlighted and circled with a heart. It was early August, before the talks we had where he said he never wanted to get married. I turn in there. He is with a ring. I said yes. He said he knew I would never believe that he had the ring before. All this without the receipt. That his attitude and comments when I started asking about marriage was to fool me. So I didn't get suspicious, because this was the plan all along. He wanted an autumn proposal in a beautiful location, since it's my favorite season. Money he has been saving after moving in with me, since I charge him a much smaller amount than he was previously paying, went to the ring. He saved money for over a year, because he knew when he moved in with me that he was going to eventually ask me to marry him. So honestly, this is the best case scenario. We talked after 2. When we get married, we will add each other as beneficiaries on our insurance policies, and we decided there's no need to put him on my title even after we get married. I really appreciate everyone's comments on that last post. I read all of them, and most people were genuinely concerned and offered wonderful advice and support. Now for the top comments. Oh man, what a bumbling way to hide a proposal. This will make a great story down the line though, and I bet you two will laugh about it quite a bit. Glad it worked out. This was the plot of a Friends episode. Opie is your fiancé named Chandler. We learned from Chandler that this is not how one covers an intent to propose. Anyway, congrats on actually communicating. I knew you were likely to take a wife. Congratulations. But I really wish he had realized that you can surprise someone with an engagement without forcing them to go through the emotional toll of thinking their partner is anti-marriage. He could have told you he was open to marriage but wasn't ready yet and still surprised you. He really created a lot of unnecessary drama and angst with his approach. My husband and I had talked about marriage well in advance of his proposal, and he told me he was waiting until after he finished grad school, which was going to be in July. He proposed that year in April, and I was completely surprised, lying about ever wanting to get married. Seems insane. Now, for the next story, am I the whole for changing my mind about collecting child support from my ex-wife when we got married? Kids, I was the sole provider. When we had kids, she wanted to go work for her family business. It ended up blowing up and she was making 3 times what I was making. We divorced a couple of years ago, and while I waived spousal support, I did get child support in our state. It's law, so it's not like I can decline it. She pays a hefty amount and was outraged. I never needed the child support because I make enough money on my own, and we both agree that none of our sons are going to be trust fund kids just because there is money. A few months ago, we had a blow up over our 11-year-old son, and our co-parenting plan was breaking down. We went to mediation, and while she was clearly in the wrong and had the most to lose, I decided to make a concession about the child support. I agreed to shoulder more child expenses, and the child support would be more of a reimbursement. We were putting it in writing until I came across a nasty post that she wrote to fellow moms about co-parenting with difficult controlling dads. She basically blamed me for her imbalanced life, that I was hostile, and said any father who accepts child support he didn't need from the mother of his kids is criminal. Of course she has a little following on IG. Someone asked her if she were referring to me, and she said no because he should read this. That is how I found out. So I called the mediator up and cancelled our agreement. Now my ex is raging and using it as evidence that I am a difficult dad. Now for the top comments. Just going to jump in here with child support is for the children, not the parents. If you don't need her support for daily expenses, use her contributions as a college/trade school/future home fund. Your children will benefit, and their mother doesn't get to evade her responsibilities. This too many go revenging their exes and making child support paying difficult because they think it's for the ex, even its sole purpose is to make sure kids have what they need to have proper life. Also not the whole this my dad paid his ex-wife, not my mom, child support, but the kids would come back asking him to pay for essential season-appropriated clothes, school stuff. He'd tell them that he gave money to their mother. Ex-wife told them she didn't receive money and was paying for everything and that dad wasn't financially helping. Turns out she didn't have a job and used the money for her own expenses. Problem was solved when my siblings started to be full-time at my dad's place. Child support is for the child. Whatever funds you use are for the benefit of your child and not for your benefit. Take her for whatever you are legally allowed and put whatever excess that you might use into an account. When they are adults, you can either decide to give them the funds or not. Yeah? What if they get cancer, come down with COVID, or simply want to go to college and don't qualify for loans because they're supposed to have all this money from their mom? Take the money. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for causing my boyfriend's kids to stop eating his ex-wife's cooking? My boyfriend got divorced this past spring and we started dating a couple months after the divorce was finalized. He has 2 kids, 11 and 8, from his previous marriage in his 50-50 split custody because of the pandemic. I moved in with him pretty shortly after we started dating since he needed help with the kids at home. This has actually worked out great. The kids and I get along fantastic. They are a total delight to be around. Neither my boyfriend nor his ex-wife could cook worth a damn. We're talking spaghetti from a can/Kraft mac and cheese level cooking. Here I, on the other hand, am a massive foodie and love to cook, and now do 100% of the cooking in the house. Here's the problem now that the kids know what real food tastes like. They're absolutely refusing to eat anything the ex-wife cooks for them. The ex demanded that I either stop cooking or send her money to pay for the takeout she's been having to buy for every meal. Obviously, these are ridiculous demands, but to keep the peace, I offered to cook enough extra food for the kids to take to the ex's house to last for the week. This suggestion enraged the ex even more, who said that I'm insulting and undermining her as a parent and that I need to stop acting like a mum to her kids. Am I the a-hole here? PC no, the dating time frame him looks sketchy and people will inevitably ask, did you have an affair? The answer is no. My BF and I had been friends for years, since before he first met his ex actually, but nothing romantic ever happened between us until after the divorce. Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. She needs to learn how to cook something better than Kraft mac and cheese. I like boxed mac as much as the next girl, but real food is needed the majority of the time. Homemade mac and cheese is in that heart. Even spaghetti with a basic tomato sauce is pretty easy and would please the kids. There's a difference between knowing how to cook and being a great cook. Not everyone has to be great in the kitchen, but everyone should know how to cook basic meals for themselves. It always blows my mind that people don't know what they're doing in the kitchen because I grew up poor and have been cooking since I was 15 to 16. Not the a-hole, she could just learn to cook. It's a basic life skill. Edit. The boyfriend should learn as well. I only said her in this situation because she's the one making a fuss, but yes, they both could have avoided this situation had they both learned to cook in the first place. So should Opie's boyfriend. By the way, presumably Opie might not want to do 100% of the cooking forever. This might be cute for a few months during lockdown in a new relationship, but the lockdown crazies are going to fade someday. Not the a-hole. Why not start having the kids help you cook and suggest simple things to make with him? Homemade pizza, tacos, burgers, baked potatoes, etc. are all delicious and relatively easy to make. Not the a-hole. This is an actual constructive suggestion, and that's it for this video, guys. If you have thoughts to share, leave a comment below. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you like this content. I'll catch you in the next one. Good day, everyone.